Welcome back to another video. Today I want to unpack a conversation I feel very passionate about, and it has to do with practicality. So behind the scenes, I have been chatting with some of my clients about this word practicality and how it's sort of deglamorized in marketing, right? So I believe that so much of the marketing we see on the internet is what's creating a lot of this nervous system dysregulation, right? Where it's these big visions painted through shiny marketing and great headlines and big energy. And often when you get in the back end of this type of business, it falls flat and you're left disappointed. This has happened so many times to me, and as someone who strives for integrity and has clean ethical morals and really values bringing results and client relationships, this all just seems so backwards to me, right? So bringing back in the conversation of practicality, I would rather myself and my clients grow my business in a very steady, healthy pace, right? And my clients do experience what we call a quantum leap, where it's like, say, going from 50K a year and then making over 200K in a year, right? That's a quantum leap where it's not 50 to 60, it's like 50 to 200, right? So quantum leaps are still possible, and they're possible also while doing it in a way that is very grounded and rooted and focused on high value delivery, right? For me, in my career, I have been online and a facilitator, coach, mentor, guide since 2011. And this entire time, I have been more focused on making sure I'm delivering on my promises, making sure that when someone enters my world, they have an even better experience than what they see online in marketing and branding and this type of experience, right? So there are so many people like me on the internet who we maybe can't get behind so much this big, bold marketing and being sales sharks to build the biggest business, quote unquote, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. And there's space for us in the way that we think and feel. And actually, so many times I have been the one, and colleagues and friends that I have in the industry, and even clients of mine, we have been the ones who are cleaning up the mess that these quote unquote leaders leave, and we become the ones who are cleaning up this mess, right? So this is where a lot of the misconception and the, wobbly feelings come around investing and all of that and this whole thing. So here are some of my beliefs. I believe that being practical is sexy. I believe that to grow your business in a very stable and steady way is also sexy. I believe that growing in a way where you're really honoring your capacity and your thresholds is amazing. And what generally happens when you stretch yourself too far too fast is the quality of your business and your experiences goes so far down that you end up harming a lot of relationships and therefore ruining your reputation, right? It can take you quite a while to build a reputation, and it can be ruined in minutes, right? And so for people like us who are more focused on integrity, values, healthy relationships, being a moral and ethical service provider. We are really the change makers of the space, right? Because we know how to navigate, say, tough client conversations. We know how to navigate unhappy customers and clients. And we're okay having these conversations rather than just, you know, making people feel bad and using these shady tactics to shame people, basically, right? And this is like a tough lesson that I've learned. Many years ago, I had some experiences where I wasn't able to have those conversations as well as I am now. And I thank those moments because it made me a better leader. And I feel like people go either two directions, right? In your business, say you have a bad client breakup. You're either going to respond in a healthy, grounded, secure way, or you're going to get triggered and your wounds are going to gush all over this client, right? Now, the first time this happens, or maybe even the second or the third time, you might not have the skill set yet to respond in a healthy way. And that's okay. But what differentiates an integral leader and a leader who doesn't have that integrity embodied fully is the person who's experienced this and notices it and decides to work on themselves and build the skill sets and seek them out and learn how to become a more secure leader. That is integrity, right? But if this happens to you and you just keep getting triggered and you keep gushing, you're like bleeding on everyone around you, that's not an integral leader. You're just operating from your trigger and a wounded place, right? And it's so unfortunate that oftentimes these people who have less of a moral compass or lose their moral compass along the way somehow grow these large businesses and large brands, right? And then people like us who are good-hearted and kind and warm and generous and full of high-value skills and the ability to actually transform people's lives and deliver great products and services, we sometimes, quote unquote, get left behind because we aren't such a sales shark. We aren't such a marketing savage, right? And I actually think that's a good thing, right? Because when you're on your deathbed and you're looking back, are you going to say, oh, I didn't grow the biggest business? Or are you going to say, wow, I really gave it my all. I showed up in integrity every single day. I built such incredible relationships with my clients and my audience and my people, my community. And I can feel really proud about how I showed up. And I built something of value that just continued to get better every single year. And I weathered the storms and I showed people respect and kindness and I did the darn thing, right? So if you're like me, like I can't sleep at night if I have done or felt like these experiences were happening in my business. And this is why I think so many people are stressed out trying to build their online businesses these days because of this marketing that we see, this false hope marketing that paints this picture of what's possible, and then it dysregulates you and you get into this fight or flight mode and start basically operating in these ways that might not be fully you because some coach told you that's what you're supposed to do, right? Now, I've been a coach online and offline since before the coaching industry had this big boom, right? I've been doing this work before it was cool. I've been traveling the world location free before it was a trend and it was the cool thing to do. And coaching was so fun back then when it was more pure and simple and And marketing didn't taint the true value of what coaching and mentorship actually is, and business transformation work, right? And I'm still fully committed to operating how I know is of highest value and integrity for me and my community. And I know that the people who are a match to that will find me, right? I don't need to be the loudest one online. I don't need to be the loudest one in the room. My energy is felt, and this level of integrity is felt. And this is like a permission slip for you as well to know that you don't need to be the biggest, loudest person on the internet or in the room to get great results. You don't need to be a sales shark to build a really great business. You don't even need to focus on these big, extreme goals that put you in fight or flight mode to be a great leader and a great business person, right? So if we're talking about capacity and threshold, you have a capacity to hold a certain amount. And when you hit that ceiling, that's your threshold of what you've realized you're capable of. And as an ethical leader, at that point you say, okay, if I want to keep growing, how do I increase my capacity? Is it through redoing the business model, restructuring my team, getting more support? Or is it that you, add different services or products that, add value to your business model without more of your time, but doing it in a great way? Like, there's so many ways that we can do this. It really depends on your business. You have to have like a one-on-one conversation to like really build out that strategy. But capacity and threshold, I think it's sexier to grow in this, still an incline, you're still ambitious, but you're doing it in such a rooted, secure, trusting, knowing, faith-filled way. And of course, even these like big gurus online use those words. But there's a different energy to destabilizing yourself for the sake of growing and causing this ricochet of chaos in your community. And there's a different energy of growing in a very integral way where everyone in your community feels that energy of being seen, being felt, being heard. And obviously, not every single person who comes into your business or your world might have the same experience of you and your work. And that's just natural and human. But if you're growing at such a rapid rate and having all this fallout, it's just a disservice to your nervous system and everyone else's nervous system around you, right? So there's something to be said about growing your business, your brand, and your leadership in a way that's very practical, rooted and grounded, and stable, right? And this is how I think about all my clients' business models when we're chatting. It's like, how can we just every single month stack on top of each other some really high value sales, whether at the premium level or at a scalable level, so that you can, first of all, start every month with some monthly recurring revenue. So you're not starting at zero, and be in the deepest integrity in your services where you're delivering exactly what you've promised and more, and your people feel your genius, they feel your heart, they feel your passion, and you're just doing really great work. This is such a great way to do business. And as I have experienced, some of these bigger, quote unquote, coaches and gurus and accounts out there and bought into what they were dishing out, and then always reaffirming and coming back to my true belief of what is the best way to run a business, it just makes me feel like yeah, these conversations are so important. Having this conversation to root you into your own truth, to make you feel okay with where you're at, and knowing you do get to continually grow, and it doesn't have to be this big, scary, crazy, like, I don't know, ungrounded energy around it, right? That's just going to create all the dysregulation, all the tension and frustration that you might be feeling, the pressure that you put on yourself, and how that's going to affect your health, your body, your relationships, your mind, your heart, and therefore your community and your brand and everyone that touches your business, right? It's just not worth it. Now, yeah, I have so much I could share. This could be like many, many YouTube videos, I think. I think I'm going to leave it at here. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I'd love to hear how this landed for you. And I can't wait to share more of these conversations.